Alright, in this video I'm going to do, I don't know, a relatively quick walkthrough of making another Sporran in honor of St. Patrick's Day 2025. And I'm actually using this pattern, which is old style Sporran pattern. I don't even know where I printed this out from. I don't remember printing this out from. There's no who did it. There's no URL on it. And I actually had to make 2 runs of this to make this video. And it's not an exact replica because the instructions on this were not as complete as I would like them to have been. So this is what I came up with. Very similar to the, not similar, the back part is very similar to the Sporran that I did, the more robust Sporran that I did. But this one I think is a lot more accessible and easier to do, even without all of the metal fixtures, the grommets, the rivets, the rectangle rings and such like that. And then actually I'm using a button of a dew claw from white-tailed deer as a button, whereas this one actually uses a leather button, which is kind of cool. You could use a big frog button this in the same manner. So I may make another one and do that. But anyways, I'm just gonna give a walkthrough on how to make this one, and it's relatively simple, relatively easy if you have the materials.
Alright, I already have the front pattern, front reinforcement pattern accurate and done. So I went on ahead and cut it out of the 2-ounce leather here, just like so. Marked the center tick marks because that'll be important for placement later. But next I'm going to have to take this my pattern material and redo the flap or back reinforcement with the wings, so that we can have, you know, little loops to hook on either a chain or another belt to go around the waist. And then the holes, I'm going to add 2 more holes, so there'll be 6. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this, so I want 6. These 2, there's a bottom one, 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. So it'll be up and up and up and up and up and out to create the drawstring. Yeah, and then on the top here, there's these little holes here, which will be fine. That's for attaching the button, which I'm going to use a deer dew claw. The dew claws are the little back nails, because they have 2 fingers and then another 4th finger in the back. Those are dew claws. They make kind of cool little buttons. But I will not be using these holes. All right. And then there's these 2 side holes here. That's for the belt. And that'll just be creating a slit here so the belt can slide through. And that should be it. And then it should be smooth sailing from there. Okay, so to begin making another one of these Sporrans, old style Sporrans, I'm going to need my vegetable tan cowhide. This is like 6 ounces, 6 to 8 ounces, and that's because it's very, very thick. That's how leather or vegetan cowhide is weighted. The thickness is by, you know, the ounces, right? You say I need 6 ounces means it's pretty dense, it's pretty thick. And that will be for the back reinforcement here, all right, because it's a little bit more heavier. And the lid, okay, the lid. And then I'm going to be using, this is actually 2-ounce cowhide, so it's a lot more flexible. And that will be for the, you can't really see it, but there's a reinforcement here that's on the inside. So you may not be able to see that, but there's a reinforcement on the inside here. So, but it's a little bit more flexible. So I'm going to use that, and that's going to be this piece. I already have the patterns more or less cut out, so the only one we're going to be redoing is this one. Everything else is fine. And then I'm going to be using this, basically this very light leather. It's probably ½ ounce or whatever fabric grade black leather for the gusset or the pouch. So here is the modified pattern, which I think it's gonna work out. It's much better. Again, my learning curve was always make a prototype, especially when dealing with leather or an unknown pattern, and you know, out of disposable material, so you can figure out A, how it puts together, B, what kinks you need to work out, and C, you know, make sure it fits and everything like that. It's the right proportions and whatnot. So this was the original drawing, or excuse me, pattern according to this diagram here. But more or less, we're going to discard this from here on out because I already know how this goes together. I can get rid of this one. We're going to go ahead and go with this pattern. All I got to do is lay it out on my 6 ounce, my thicker veggie tan cowhide, mark and punch the holes, and we should be good to go. Alright, so here we have the leather piece. This is a thicker piece. It's kind of a little tricky to cut out, but you have a good sharp utility blade for this type of crafting. It works out. So this will work out pretty well. I was actually able to even modify the ears so that they fold over to make, you know, to put a rivet in, like so. Which is what we will do, so that you know, a user can, the person can attach in a different belting system, and then there's a slit here for just attaching it to a regular plain old belt here. So what I'm going to do next is I actually may score this just to give it a little bit of decoration, and then I'm going to stain our pieces. So I'm going to stain our pieces so that they're, you know, different color, and then cut out the black gusset part, and then we should be ready to rock and roll. Alright, so here are our pieces for the gusset or the pouch. There's a flesh side or a suede side, and then there's the shiny side. The shiny side will be out. I'll use this as the back piece, and then this will be the front piece. And the front piece has this panel here, a reinforcement, and then I marked the center pieces here. I want to match that here. I marked it on this black. You probably can't see it using a colored pencil, and so I'm going to use rubber cement to tack this in place so that I can punch the holes and set the grommets in here. Which will actually hold it. Rubber cement is not meant to be permanent, so the grommets are meant to hold everything in place. So I'm going to just go ahead and add some rubber cement and tack this on. And then I'll do the same thing, except on the shiny side. I'll do the same thing, except on the shiny side with the lid or the cover part here, like so. All right, and then actually that'll be, let me set that just a bit below there, because these holes have to hit in there. And then I have to, when I add the rubber cement, I have to add the rubber cement in these areas here so that I don't tack down the strap. You don't want to do that, or the loop for the belt. Okay, so I'm applying the rivets to the front facing here. This is the inside of the back, and this is how you do it with the, not the rivets, they're called grommets actually. And here's the anvil for the grommet with a little indentation, and here's the punch. And the divot on the anvil causes it so that they're rounded and they're not flat, meaning they don't crush.
So I just set this nicely in here, like so, and then just give it a few sharp taps. Not too heavy, not too light. There we go. That's set. And then that's how you set the rivets in. So I've got this bad boy here. It's got a lot. So I'm going to be tapping a while. And this is thicker, so I have to really make sure each one is set in there very firmly. I'm not going to be too concerned about it either being rounded. I'm just going to use my marble slab here, and my main concern is that they're attaching to all layers, so that's going to be my focus. Okay, got this all riveted up, and so now for the ears, there's two ways I'm going to do this, or two ways I could do this. I could completely attach the ears without adding the rectangle rings here, but I think I'm going to add these as an extra accompaniment. And so all I have to do is match up the holes, but before I do that I must put the ring on and then line up the holes. Now we've got male and female part of these rivets. These are rivets and they're tiny, and there's a post and then there's a cap, like so. So generally what I like to do is I'll just take the post, slide it through the hole, insert it through the hole, and the cap kind of nicely clips on there, right? So I can do the other one like that. So I've got another post here and another cap. Make sure the D-ring or the rectangle ring ones, I wish I had some smaller D-rings or at least circles, but this is what I got, and it'll have to do. And then I can just put these, make sure these go through the hole properly, and make sure the thing is that the size of these rivets are relative, because this leather for the back part here is pretty thick. So I want to make sure, you know, you make sure it goes through all the layers. Okay, that's the key. All right. Snap that on. And then I want to take my rivet, where did I set that thing? Oh, right here. And my hammer. Not my rivet. I just can't speak today. Today is a bad biorhythm day for me. I want to take my punch that has kind of like a concave tip, and actually I'll do it on the other side because of the concavity of the tip, and just give it some sharp wax like that. That keeps the tip nice and domed, the cap I should say. And the same on the other one, like that. So that's all set in there. These are all set. Yep. And then sometimes when you make a mistake, you can take a pair of aluminum snips, and you know, you have to be careful with the leather, but you can get in between with the snips and actually cut the rivet, because the cap, the cap sits on it, and it kind of crunches, it collapses. There's a divot in the post and it collapses, so that's how they stay together. So you can get in there and you can kind of snip it and then replace it. So anyways, this is all set, and now we're all set. I put the lacing through, and now we're all set to sew. So essentially they were going to go back to back like this. This one that I did that didn't really turn out the way I wanted it to, again, it's serviceable, it's perfectly fine, it looks nice, it functions, but it's just not perfect. I hand sewed it, I hand stitched it, and what I should have done is put a welt in here. And I'm going to pull out my sewing machine. I was working late last night on this, which is probably the reason why I made mistakes on it. It's just being tired. So I'm going to pull out my machine, my sewing machine, and I'm actually going to put a welt in here, and just so it's nice and clean and everything is the stitching is nice and things like that. So, but before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and put the laces through. So again, another way that this could have been done, we could pretend like this side is the outside, is that this would be on the outside, and this would fold over, which is very similar to the one that I did, but this will just be kind of different. Alright, so here we go, all ready to be sewn up. I'm using a clothespin because, like I said, I'm going to put a welt in here, which is just a strip of leather that helps tighten the leather together and also makes it easier to take apart or to replace. It comes from like making shoes, to easier to replace the sole or the upper part. So welts are commonly used in leather making and leather craft, leather work. Anyhow, this is the lacing that is on the outside of the back part, and here is the lacing that is on the front side, and this will be the part that hooks onto the button and you pull the drawstring down like so. And this is what this looks like. Okay, so I may make another one with this on the outside, and you know, kind of decorative, similar to very similar to this, but you know, this is obviously smaller, so I'll probably do the same sort of motif. I may try and my hand at some carving in here, some Celtic knotting and stamping and making it look ornate. I'll try my hand at that. It just takes time. It takes a bit of time to do that. So anyways, we're all set to sew it up, and so I'm gonna pull up my sewing machine. Alright, so we have it all sewn together, and you know, this is the cordage, the leather lashings that are going to the back here that are going to come to the front, and what's going to cinch the sporran all together. And the way that this is folding is kind of like an accordion, and I don't know if I'm on camera or not on camera. There we go. So what's happening is I've got my first fold here. Okay, so I need to make kind of a marker or a hole where I'm going to put a punch. I'm probably going to go over 1/4 of an inch in from the edge, just so it doesn't rip out, because this is very soft leather. And then on the seam part, I can punch through both of these, but that's going to be about the same, 1/4 of an inch in. And I'm using my coloring pencil, if it'll actually work. And yeah, I'll just do it on the back side because this is folded together. And then on the front part here, this hole here has to go, again, about 1/4 of an inch in, but basically meet it, so that once everything is drawn through, it will it'll cinch up, it'll close. Okay, so I hope you get that. So I've folded it up on here, on this side here, made a mark on the seam, and then made a mark right behind the leather of the front panel next to this grommet right here. Okay, so that's kind of how things are going to kind of cinch together. So I know this is black on black and it may be difficult to see, and you know, maybe if I had darker or a different color gusset or pouch, then it might be easier to see. But the concept is you know, up, down, up, down, up, down, and then through this first hole. And I'm gonna have to repeat everything on the other side. So again, once everything comes through, it cinches up. Just like that, nicely, kind of nicely. And again, on the back, there's a nice pleat here. The seam is here. There's a pleat in front, which is actually the reinforcement, the front reinforcement. Okay, so I just have to repeat everything on the other side and get it as accurately as I can, and then we can cut the cordage, the straps to length. So here it is closed. I was able to do that, and it looks pretty symmetrical. You know, it's a little off, but you know, this is going to be covered by the front flap, right? And then this is going to catch a hold to the button, which actually is going to be the next step, is attaching the button, which is going to be a dew claw. And hopefully it works out. If it doesn't work out, if it's too shallow to grip, then we'll replace it with something else. All right, so we are ready to fasten our button, which is a dew claw from a white-tailed deer, to the top here. And I made 2 holes in here. I could have just done one and made a big knot at the bottom here. Not a big deal. Either way you do it. I have a dew claw from a harvested deer many years ago. And again, if you don't know what a dew claw is, so when you look at tracks for deer, white-tailed deer specifically, there are 2 toes. They walk on their toes. So this the hooves that you see. Up their legs, there's 2 smaller ones. So it's like they're four fingered, right? So there's 4, but they're really stunted, but they still have claws on them, and they're called dew claws. And they make really cool little embellishments, little buttons and things like that. The hooves make cool rattles and other types of embellishments as well. So again, you can use the whole animal, and that's the beauty of learning bushcraft and getting back to nature and all that other kind of hippy-dippy type stuff. So anyways, I already threaded through my cordage, which is a leather thong here, and I'm just gonna put them through the holes here. And again, I want this to be able to connect, so I can kind of twist this if I wanted to, so that they go through opposite holes, so that there is a gap between them. So if I want this to be on top, then the top one should be going through the bottom, and the bottom one, or it should be going through the top. And we'll see how that works out. Okay, so actually that had worked out opposite. We don't want that. That's not what we wanted. So we want the opposite way. And then we want this to go through. And yes, I drilled these holes. I mean, you could drill the hole for the dew claws many different types of ways. One of them is you know, pump drill, hand drill, and then I used just a regular old machine drill, modern tool. So this is going to go on here like that. Very, very simple, kind of, you know, very rustic sort of looking. And the idea is that this will clasp over the dew claw or the button now, and then we cinch this down to keep everything together. So it'll look like this. Okay, so all I have to do now is just tie a knot, right? And leather stretches, so sometimes you have to kind of make these knots a little bit tight. And then I'm just gonna do just a double overhand knot like that. That's really it. Make sure it's nice and tight. And there it is. Even if it twists, it normally won't twist because of the way we punch the holes. 2 holes in the dew claw button and then 2 holes in the leather flap so it doesn't deviate too much. If I had done 1 hole in the leather flap, then it could spin. But, you know, if I had enough, I'm worried that there's not enough purchase is what I'm worried about on the button. So we'll do this here and then we can go ahead. You can leave this here if you like the look. I'm just going to kind of give this a little snip here like that. And then let's see how this works out. Take that and then pull. What you do is you pull these 2 and boom, there's your clasp, there's your finished piece here. So this is, for the most part, all good, all intents and purposes, this is all done, ready to go. Okay, I think it's a nice little handsome piece for a relatively simple sporran. And again, I've shown you the more elaborate one that I did, which, you know, that took a lot more time because I did a lot of hand stitching with it. I did it from a 2D picture. This I'm doing from notes that obviously were not very well written in my opinion. So through a little bit of trial and error, and to be honest, over the past 24 hours, I was able to correct certain mistakes and actually make this into a nice functional piece. That in the field, you could actually do this, you know, slash the grommets, and even the loops here, if you wanted to go that far, you could lash these together and still make a way to attach a belt or a cord You can cut this piece here, this, you know, this will hold a belt like so. So, you know, again, I want to keep it simple. Leatherwork allows all kinds of embellishments in here. I thought about all kinds of cool things, but that just takes time, you know. So here's the finished piece, and I'm actually happy that I actually went on ahead and redid this. The other thing is, a couple of things about this type of fastener, right? So sometimes I've seen, when I've gone to like Highland fairs, Renaissance festivals and things like that, is you can crisscross them like that and then cinch these down to kind of give it a crisscross look like that. So you can kind of do it that way if you choose. Also, in addition, so that, and again, these, I have figured, I'm not a pickpocket, so I wouldn't know, but it would be very difficult to not, especially if you're wearing this traditionally, it's in the front of your groin area, very difficult to be pickpocketed unless you're just completely not paying attention at all. But even if you were just wearing this on your belt and it slid to the back side and somebody's fumbling with this, that's why you would do the X, A, because it's a little harder to undo. And B, along with the X, you could take this and just do a double, you know, this would eventually be an overhand knot, but it's not, it's just a double overhand cinch, right? So now it's really secure. This is not going anywhere without your notice, okay? And I guess you really have to be drunk and high and not notice somebody tugging at your belt to get into your pouch here. So that's how I would keep this real secure, you know, in a busy public place, or, you know, even if you choose this regular configuration, this is actually pretty secure to do it that way, except I would have to undo this because that gives a little bit more, how do you say, slack. And so I would take this and really cinch this down, and then, you know, double, you know, it's single or double, you know, you could do a single or you could do a double, but it just makes it harder for someone to try and get into your sporran like that, especially if you're wearing it on your belt, is my point. So anyways, I'm gonna call this piece finished. I think it turned out okay for a very simplistic, smaller pouch compared to the bigger, more elaborate one that I've made. And yeah, so again, happy St. Patrick's Day 2025. I'm really having a day today. I'm just having a day. The past 24 hours, I just lack sleep is what it is. Anyways, happy St. Patrick's Day 2025.